Hi everyone, and welcome to my channel. My name is May. I am a mom of one and a STEAM teacher here in Nashville, Tennessee. And today's video is going to be all about breastfeeding tips for going back to work. So stick around to hear my 10 top tips for being a working mom and nursing your baby.
You're a rolling stone, but I'm a cannonball.
I'd like to start off this video by adding a little context to the video. I am a teacher and I nursed my son for 13 months and he naturally weaned. In fact, I wasn't really ready for him to wean. I cried a lot about it, but he kind of naturally just stopped taking the breast. But I was able to nurse him for a full year, which is not rare, but they say that only 17% of working moms do it for a full year. So I thought it might be helpful to other moms to hear my tips and my experience being able to nurse him for that long. That being said, I am not a medical professional. I'm just a person who did this. So none of these things are medically tested or anything like that. This is just what worked for me and my baby. So let's go ahead and get into it. I made a list right here. So my number 10 tip is to notify your employer of your pump schedule as soon as you possibly can. This was especially important for me as a teacher. Teaching's a really hard job to have a pump schedule because it's not really reasonable to ask someone to watch your class for 30 minutes every day for a year. Luckily, my plannings and my lunch were in a good time slot for these things, but especially if you have a job where you can schedule meetings and things like that, the earlier your employer knows your pump schedule, the more they can plan, and you benefit from being like on top of it, and they appreciate that. Plus, it gives them time to think about where you're going to pump. My number 9 tip is to buy at least 2 airtight containers that fit your pump parts. So for example, this is what I used, and so these are like my pump shields. The reason for this is you don't really have time to sanitize during the day each time. So what you're going to do is after you pump, you're just going to quickly wipe them out and then put them into an airtight container and put them in the refrigerator until the next time you pump. You can use a plastic bag, but you're going to go through a lot of money in plastic bags if you do that. That's what I was doing at the very beginning. I was like, why am I spending all this money on plastic bags? I'll just get airtight containers. And I got 2 of them so that if one was being washed or sanitized, I could use the other one. So that's my tip number 9. Tip number 8, also to save money. Always pump to your bottles that you're going to use for daycare the next day before you go to your bags. So the bags are for storage, and what I was doing at the very beginning was I was pumping and going directly into the bags, and then when I would get home I'd have to pour the bags into bottles. Well, that's a waste of money. I don't know why I was doing that, and maybe nobody else has ever done that, but just to make sure to save money, you want to pump your bottles first. Your baby gets the freshest milk because it's changing as they grow. You want to give them the newest milk possible if you can. And then any extra that you pump at work would go into the bags and go into storage until a deep freeze. So my number 7 tip is to invest in a good pumping bra and the correct size nipple shields. So your pump is going to come with nipple shields, but they may not be the right size, and they have a gauge so that you can tell how much too big or too small they are, and you can actually measure your nipples and all that stuff. I had to use the smallest shields possible. I had to order mine from Amazon. I couldn't even get them at a Babies R Us, which is closed now, or anything like that. But if you do that, you'll maximize the amount of milk you get, which will help you pump longer and feed your baby longer. And then the pumping bra, because you're going to be at work, and then another one of my tips, you'll see why you need a really good pumping bra. I would get 2 of them, like I said, just in case. And it's going to make sure that they're flat to you and that they're not squeezing you too tight so that you get the most amount of milk possible, because you want to drain as much as you can. Also with that, if you can get a nicer pump, I would say to get a better pump. So I use the airflow.org. I think it's the name of the website. I'll link it down below. What it is it's a nonprofit, and they help you obtain your pump through your insurance. Well, your insurance will only pay so much, so you can get a free pump. But if I could do it all over again, I would have paid a little bit extra to get a nicer pump so I would be more efficient in removing my milk. I think I would have had less issues if I had had a little bit better pump. Not to say that my pump wasn't great. I have this Medela pump right here, and you can see it's been put away for a while. My son's 15 months now, and those tubes need to be thrown away because now they have mold in them. So be on the lookout for things like that because you have to get new tubes if they mold. Alright, so my next tip is during your maternity leave, try to pump 10 minutes after baby nurses in the morning. So after baby nurses, wait like 10-15 minutes and then go ahead and pump. You make the most milk during the night, so you're going to have extra milk anyway, and that releases it from your breast. It makes your body think you still need to make it, and it helps you form a stockpile for any time when you're working and your supply fluctuates. So I don't know if it's like this for everyone, but at least for me, my supply, I had an oversupply for a really long time, and then something in our schedule would change and I would have an undersupply. And it was really kind of stressful, but it wasn't as bad because somebody had told me to pump 10 minutes after. So I had a little bit of a stockpile of milk to kind of go into until I could get my supply back up. Which leads me to my next tip. Nurse baby whenever you can. Baby's going to like get it out better than any breast pump ever could. So any chance you get to nurse your baby, like on the weekends or things like that, go ahead and do that. Try not to pump even though it's convenient, because it's going to help your breast milk form better and do more. So sometimes my husband used to say I could really tell on Monday you would get like a lot more milk Monday and Tuesday, and it's because I'd been nursing all weekend, and then by like Thursday and Friday where I'd been pumping, it would be going down. So just keep that in mind, that the more you're able to nurse baby, even for comfort, and I know that that's not like a great thing to do all the time. You want your baby to not have to take the breast for comfort, and rather than maybe take a pacifier or something like that. But it's different when you're working and you're trying to nurse. So even if they want it for a little bit of comfort, go ahead and nurse your baby, because it's going to help keep your supply up if you're trying to nurse for a long time, or at least for that first year. My next one is take advantage of the commute if you can. I know a lot of people can't stomach this, but I did this and it was weird, but it did help my milk a lot. So on my commute to work, I commuted about 25 minutes and I commute back 25 minutes. I would go ahead and hook up to my pump, and I had a car adapter, and I'll link my car adapter down below, but make sure yours matches the voltage of your pump or it won't work. And I would just pump on my way to work and then empty and put into my bag before I went in, and then I would pump on my way back. That added 2 pumps to my day, and you need to be pumping, not pumping, but nursing or pumping at least 6 times a day to keep your supply up. So adding 2 pumps can be really beneficial. I'm not saying everybody can do it. Some people have like really short commutes, or they don't commute at all. Or some people just get really nervous about driving while pumping. It didn't really bother me, but if you can, I highly recommend commuting, taking advantage of your commute and pumping on your commute. The next tip is to pump right before bed, even once baby starts sleeping through the night. I know it's really tempting to go to bed earlier and do all these things, or not to get up and pump. If you're trying to nurse for a full year, I highly recommend either pumping right before you go to bed if you're somebody who goes to bed a little bit later. So I know that I go to bed a little bit later, around 11, so I would pump right before I go to bed. If you go to bed earlier, then to set an alarm and wake up to pump at least once at night. I wouldn't say like pump at like 2 o'clock in the morning in the very middle of the night or anything like that, but you need to probably pump once a night once baby starts sleeping through the night. If baby's still nursing through the night, you don't need to do that. But if you have a baby who starts sleeping through the night really early, my recommendation is to go ahead and keep pumping at least once a night. The next tip, have photos of baby, or even better, video to induce your letdown when you're at work. Video worked best for me. I would put like headphones in and watch videos of baby laughing, or just, giggling, snorting, just all the cute things that he did. And it really helped out. That one's scientifically researched. You can look that up on any like Law Leech League forum, but it really does help you induce your letdown. And once your letdown is there, or if you find that it goes away, you can do it again. You can keep working, because I sent emails and all kinds of things while I was pumping once my letdown had come, and I did just fine. And then my final tip is take it one day at a time and give yourself grace. It is not easy. It is not easy to nurse at all. And it is very, very hard to nurse for a full year or to breastfeed your baby when you have a full-time job outside of the home. So know that you're doing your best job and the best that you can for your baby, and give yourself grace and take your time. I hope you found this video helpful and informational, and that it helps you on your breastfeeding journey. If you like these types of videos with information, please give it a thumbs up. Please consider subscribing, and I'll see you next time.